Hello everybody, how's it going? It's your boy, it is SnakeOMartyn, and I'm back with another little video for you today. Now, I would like to talk today about what got me into video games. So we're talking about the very beginning, the origin story of me picking up a control pad and going like this and getting angry and all of that jazz that you basically watch today. It started with something that I've actually been doing recently, which is playing Sonic the Hedgehog. My first game that I ever played, I'm pretty sure, was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, this game is in my hand. This is mine. However, technically, it's stolen. Yeah, that's right. I'm a thief from my sisters, because this was theirs, as well as the Sega Mega Drive I used to play on. Although I have actually stolen that as well. But they've got kids and stuff. They don't need it like I do. I give Sonic a good life, you know? Like a good adoptive little parent. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was my very first game. I love this game so much. It literally opened doors for me in terms of how I play games now. I remember never beating this as a kid. It was way too hard for little baby me. Getting past levels like Oil Ocean were virtually impossible for baby me. However, I do have a vivid memory of essentially taking all of the time in the world, or at least the time limits of the levels, to get through each act. I must have gotten through a lot of time overs and a lot of continues, but I remember getting to Casino Night Act 2. And it was the boss. You know, the one where like Robotnik's like, and you're like, like that. If you've never played Sonic the Hedgehog 2, you're not going to have any ideas what that means. However, if you're one of the many that have played Sonic the Hedgehog 2, that should make a lot of sense for you. Kind of like, you know, going to the shops and buying milk. I remember beating that boss and thinking, I have achieved. It must be nearly over. It's barely into the game. However, I remember hearing my mum shout for me, and she was like, "Martin, it's bedtime." And I was thinking, no, it can't be, because if it's bedtime, that means I have to go to bed, and that means I have to switch the Sega off. And if I have to switch the Sega off, that means I have to do all that again, and that was about 3 hours of work in my brain. It probably was like 30 minutes, but you never know. Like kids, you know, time's weird for kids. And yeah, I had to switch it off. And I was very, very upset by this revelation. I can tell you that for free. However, like I said, this wasn't the first game that was truly mine. The next game was Toy Story on the Sega. Now, I remember playing this a lot. This was my very first game. This was purchased for me by my mum and my dad, and I remember loving this game so much. However, I do remember kind of getting nightmares. So if you do remember the film, this has loads of things that aren't in the film. There's like a sequence, and I remember being kind of traumatized by it, where you have to fight Nightmare Buzz. And yeah, Woody's having this horrible dream, like nightmare, and it's like a boss scenario. And Buzz is this weird green glowy thing. And the Sega sound effects on that chip thing were really like, it was like really kind of scary and grungy. But yeah, I remember beating him and thinking, I'm a boss now. And yeah, I remember being very scared of him. Very, very scared of him. And when I finally beat that level, I was so pleased. However, unfortunately for me, later on, you get to Sid's house, and that is another kettle of fish in terms of fear. This game is just wrong in the sense of what the ratings of age are. It says 3 to 10, like 3+ and up. I can tell you, as a 4-year-old that was playing this, it was horrific, okay? Probably the scariest game in the world. Hello? I have weirdly no memory of seeing Sega games in shops as a kid. Like, not a memory of it. I don't remember any of that. I remember PlayStation, that's my earliest memory of seeing games in shops, but not Sega games. I remember my mum and dad used to work a lot, I think, when I was a kid, and we never got many games for the Sega. We had like 3 or 4 games total, One was Jungle Book, one was Sonic, one was Golden Axe, Revenge of Shinobi, and Streets of Rage in one cartridge. And yeah, and then this was the other game that we had. We didn't have many. And this was the final Sega game I think we ever had. I just remember playing this a lot. And Jungle Book, and Streets of Rage, and Revenge of Shinobi, and Golden Axe. But I don't think I actually finished any of these games until I was way, way older. I don't think I finished Sonic even until I was about 10. And that was when I plugged the Sega in one day and made a point of trying to beat it for like 5 days. It was so hard. How do kids do it? I don't know. But yeah, this was the first game I've ever owned and I still own it. This is the same copy. So next in my life, I must have been about 5 or 6 years old. And I remember getting a console. I do not remember seeing a box for it. I don't remember opening it. I have no memory of it, but I just remember owning it and just having it. And it's inside of this very Nintendo bag. So there's a bit of a spoiler for you. I had 3 games for this as a kid, and that was it. And that is a very battered, very old, yellow Game Boy. This was my life. I remember playing this in the back. Honestly, it feels so weird. I haven't held it for years. This Game Boy was my life. That's why it's so battered. It probably could have survived a bomb. It didn't survive a bomb. It just survived a very messy childhood. I had 3 games for this, I believe. I have them still in this bag. Here we go. So the 3 games were Super Mario Land. I hated this game. I didn't like it at all. I never played this game very much because it's too hard. I've never beaten this game. I think it will probably end up on a bucket list at some point. However, almost impossible to beat. Has anyone ever played this? Seriously, it's so hard. And Mario is like a dot. He's like a pixel wide. And then when he eats a mushroom, which are also like dots, he then becomes 2 pixels wide. But yeah, love this game. I also then had Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins. I love this game. This is the only Mario game until very recently that I've beat. And it doesn't really play like Mario games. Well, it does, but it doesn't. I think this was also the first appearance of Wario, I'm gonna say, maybe. And yeah, I love this game. And then I think the next game was like Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land or something. I'm not so sure. I was never very clued up on Game Boys, but I just remember playing this thing a lot. And I remember begging my parents for another game. Only one game. And I remember looking in an Argos catalogue. If you are in the UK, that'll make a lot of sense to you because they had loads and loads of games in the back. I remember looking in there and I remember wanting one game. And I remember my mum saying it was way too expensive. I don't remember how much they were, but they must have been pretty spenny for my mum to say that. But it was Donkey Kong. And I did get it in the end. She gave in. Thanks, Mum. I don't know why I looked up. She's live. But yes. So yeah, I got Donkey Kong. And they've recently remade this, like, again, because I'm pretty sure this was remade for the Game Boy Advance and then remade again recently, or at least a variation of it. But this was a puzzle game. It starts off like old school Donkey Kong, where you have to like doodle-dung, doodle-dung, doodle-dung. I haven't played this for years. I remember it vividly because I used to do it all the time. And yeah, you'd play like normal Donkey Kong, and then it'll go into this like crazy world. But I never finished this game either. So maybe that's one thing that I should add to my bucket list, is to finish these little games, especially this one, because it was so solid. And I remember you'd fight like really weird creatures, like insects and stuff, and you go to Egypt at one point. This game was great. I don't remember it very well, but I remember loving it. And I remember you have to get a key every time. And yeah, I mean, my saves should still be on this, but God knows if I can access it anymore. But yeah, Donkey Kong, great game. This was a big part of my life. And I remember my parents trying to hide PlayStations from me. I did get one in the end. And my first game that I ever played was Rayman. This isn't the actual copy I had of Rayman. This is a double pack I got the other day. I don't have my original Rayman. I think I must have traded it in when I was young, which is sad. However, I do have it again now with Rayman 2, which I never liked as a kid, by the way. Just like the first one. There it is. Look how boring those discs are, by the way. Off topic. Anyway, Rayman 1, hardest game ever. It's up there with Abe's Exodus and Odyssey as childhood games that I have, and could not beat them. Never beaten this. I remember my friend in school, Matthew, he said to me that he got to the end. I don't think he did. I think he used cheats. It's been a debate in my brain for such a long time. This game is so hard. Rayman doesn't really get games anymore. They focused a lot on the Rabbids more recently, but Rayman started with this. I believe it was just a PlayStation 1 game. I might be wrong, so tell me in the comments. However, this game was amazing. It was so beautiful, and I'm glad that, gosh, years ago now, they made Rayman Origins and Legends, and they definitely harkened on to what made Rayman originally, which was great, just impossible. So if you finished Rayman out there, I'm convinced that no one has, let me know, because I'd like to meet you, shake your hand, just so I can say that I've touched hands that have beaten Rayman on the PlayStation 1. Honestly, impossible game. After that, this is where I guess my love of platformers really kicks in, because I'm not sure which order I got this, but I got Crash Bandicoot 3 and roughly around the same time, Spyro the Dragon. I loved these games so friggin' much. I have Spyro 2 and 3 as well, but these were the gateways for me. Crash Bandicoot 3, I went in a weird way with this. I got a really tragic memory with Crash Bandicoot. And Spyro I just loved. I never had a tragic memory with this. I beat them. I actually didn't beat the first one until very recently. But I remember Spyro 2 coming out because I used to get those PlayStation magazines with the demo discs. And yeah, Spyro 2 came out, and then I finished that, and then 3 came out. But I never finished 1. I don't know if it was too hard, but I never beat Nasty Nork. If you remember this game, Nasty Nork was the main bad guy in this game, but I never beat it. But this is my very original copy. I never got rid of it. It is, I think it must have been bought new, and it even has this like weird winter release demo discs inside it. But this game was honestly my jam. I'm gonna sniff it. It doesn't smell good. It smells stale, like a gone-off piece of bagel. I loved it. Crash Bandicoot 3, loved this game. I think I actually 100%ed this as a kid. I should have the original saves I used when I was a little one. Because, yeah, I still have my memory cards, and I still have my original PlayStation 1, and that console was mine. These are all my games, not my sister's. These are mine. Crash Bandicoot 3 was my first Crash, and then I remember it was really hard to find games as a kid if you didn't get them at the time, unless they were traded in, pre-owned or what have you, which I didn't really understand the concept of as a kid. You couldn't get old games, and I remember finding Crash Bandicoot 2 in Dixon's, if anyone remembers Dixon's in the UK. Dixon's had a Crash 2. I remember being like, oh my gosh, can we get it, Martin, please? And it was quite cheap because it was obviously way older. And we bought it, right? It was sealed, and I took it home, and I remember this vividly. This is like an actual trauma for me, so please, be kind. I opened the disc. The disc had a massive chunk missing out of it. Like, it wasn't even in the box. It was just not there. And I was distraught, gutted. I don't think I was very old. I think I was about 6, 7. But I was very upset. I mean, I don't know when this came out. 98. So yeah, I was about 6 when this was. So about 6 years old. I didn't understand why the game was broken. I'm pretty sure it had a picture of Crash on it, so it looked like Crash had been stabbed in the face. Very distressing. And my mum had to take it back, obviously, because it wasn't there. But they didn't have any other replacements for it, so I just didn't have Crash 2. I didn't play it until very recently, probably in the last 10 years. I say recently, I'm old now. And yeah, that was the time where I found out that Crash 3 was the only one in my life as a child, because every other one was broken. I used to get the PlayStation magazines that had demo discs inside them, and one demo disc in particular changed my life. And I think you're going to think, oh, it's a Metal Gear one. Nope, it's not Metal Gear Solid. Everyone knows I love Metal Gear Solid. It was actually this one. This is Final Fantasy VIII, a special demo that was only ever like just this. It was really weird. There wasn't many times where they just did one game on one disc in a demo disc, but this was the only one. I think this was one of the first demo discs I actually got as well in 1999. And this game blew my mind. I don't think I've ever experienced just being completely besotted with something. I loved the combat. The graphics were insane. The cutscenes were... I've never seen anything like it. Like, every game beforehand had nothing like this. Spyro didn't have cutscenes like this. Crash didn't have cutscenes like this. Rayman surely didn't have cutscenes like this. These were like full-on movies. 3D CGI movies at the time. And I had to get it. And I did eventually get it after, of course, nagging Mum. And eventually I did get Final Fantasy VIII. And have I finished this game? Even today, I've never finished this game. It's on the list of things I have to finish very soon. I love this game so much, even without finishing it. The furthest I got, I'm pretty sure, was like disc 4 or 3. There's like writing on my discs, by the way. There used to be a really annoying thing in the UK where if there was a game that was pre-owned, they used to write on the discs to know which ones went with which. And I've been told there are ways to get that removed. You can use kind of like another marker and then rub it off, but I'm a bit scared to do that, so I'm going to leave them on. But I love this game. The discs are insane. The book, I've still got it. I honestly can't explain enough how much this game meant to me. And even now, recently I went back and played the original Final Fantasy VII. I'm literally wearing a Final Fantasy t-shirt right now. I love Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 16 blew my mind last year. I can't explain how much this demo, especially this demo, more than the game, weirdly, this demo changed my life. And that was one of the most vivid memories I have of playing games as a kid, is beating that demo and then getting this game. I actually got this and Final Fantasy VII together as a kid. Didn't like Final Fantasy VII because it looked super blobby and stuff, and I was like, why is the graphics not very good? Where's Squall? I didn't understand that they weren't like related. This game truly changed my life, and it has influenced me and what games I like even to today. So cheers, demo disc of Final Fantasy VIII, because without you, maybe I wouldn't have got into JRPGs or even RPGs. But yeah, I loved it. I absolutely love this. And yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things that influenced me as a kid. I was always into platformers, like even back in the day with the Sonics and your Toy Stories, my 3D love of platforming with Crash and Spyro, and even those 2D games that kind of bridged the gap like Rayman. I grew up on PlayStation 1s and Sega Mega Drives, and after that, yeah, I loved it. And I still play games today, and that's why I've got so many now. Some people might think of it as a problem. I mean, it could be worse. This could be a pile of drugs. If you liked this video, please think about hitting the like, hit the subscribe, hit the little bell so you can find your way back and get all the updates of when I'm live on YouTube or on Twitch. I'm always on Sunday, Monday and Wednesdays, either 12:30 or 8:30 p.m. UK time. If you want to catch me, please do on there. And thanks for watching. Take care. And I'll catch you on the next one.